Thank you, Vern, for that very extraordinary presentation, and I hope that it really did shed some light on what Vern has seen and continues to see that typically doesn't get shown in the mainstream media, and it's stuff that we just don't hear about. We're going to break a little bit early for lunch today. We've had some adjustments that we needed to make to our venue. Aaron Pitsey is scheduled to arrive at 12 o'clock. It will give us an opportunity from 12 till 1 to grab a bite to eat. And those of us that wish to do interviews with our guests can approach them as well. But before we do that, we have a few minutes. And I just want to describe who I am. Many people wonder, who is this guy? Why is he doing what he's doing? Well, I will explain. I grew up in Canada from the age of 9. We moved here with my 2 brothers. I went to school, got an education. I ended up becoming a businessman by the age of 21. I worked with central banks. In fact, I was one of the people invited to manufacture the toonie coin blank. I saw a vision of getting married, having children. And in fact, I found a woman that I fell in love with. But as time went by and I recognized that there was problems in my marriage, I began to look for help. And as a man, I found none. It was eventually Canada Court Watch that I found who began to give me some semblance of reality as to what I can do to deal with my family situation. And I had to make some hard decisions. I hired a private investigator. It became clear to me that I was going to have a false domestic violence allegation put against me. I asked the private investigator, a 30-year police officer, what do I do to protect myself? He said, tape record everything. I listened to him. I didn't even know if it was legal or not. I do know now that it is. And I literally tape recorded every second of everything that happened from that moment on. It is what kept me from going to prison, which is where my wife was planning to send me. I went to the police with information that I had a stepchild who had laid out a plan to murder me. The police officer basically told me, Mr. Vinczer, you're a big boy, you can take care of yourself. Now you could imagine what it's like for a father who's trying to protect his children, who knows that someone is planning on drugging them, stabbing them in their sleep, describing how they're going to dispose of the body. And I have to keep a level head. I can't get angry. I can't lash out, because if I do, then I'll be seen as that violent man, that violent father. It was one of the most incredible struggles. I ended up in court, and sadly, an allegation was made that I sexually abused one of my children, which was an absolute lie. Thankfully, the judge did not act on that affidavit, and thankfully, I had the conspiracy on audio tape that ensured I would not end up in that position. So, as a businessman of some 30 years, it became clear to me that I cannot continue to employ people, pay my taxes, knowing that there are conditions such as this that are existing, and innocent people are going to jail. And in fact, I've worked with 2 specific families where one man is currently in prison for 7 years. He was put in jail based on nothing but a false allegation, 0 evidence, no evidence whatsoever. And a good man, a good father, is currently serving 7 years in jail. Another individual who's out on bail pending appeal. I was in the courtroom. This father was convicted of producing child pornography. The judge admitted, we have never seen any of the evidence, but I'm convicting him anyways. And this is very scary to me because I have two boys who are 11 and 13, and they are going to become entrapped in this problem. In fact, my 12-year-old son last year was arrested and charged with assault based on a fabrication by a female school principal who fabricated evidence that there was certain injury to a child's head, and only because my son was charged did I get full disclosure was I able to see the medical report, which showed that there was not even a scratch on another child's head that had a washroom stall door touch his head. But what happened was the allegation was put to the police force. The police force wanted him to do community referral program services, which I was agreeable to. I thought it was a good lesson for him to understand how serious it is if you are going to get charged or if you violate the criminal code. But I asked a lot of questions, as I do. And Krista Kempster, the staff sergeant, who was in charge of the community referral program, and it is an industry, as Vern had mentioned, ordered my son arrested because I dared to just ask questions. What are you going to do with him? Are you going to assess him? What's he going to have to do? And that irritated her enough that she ordered the officer, and this is very public, she ordered the officer, Damien Muirhead, who had been charged by the chief of police in Newmarket. He is made out to be a victim of internal mismanagement by the York Regional Police Force, when in fact, he then came back to my home after he had arrested and charged my son. And just to tell you, at the police station, he said to my son, sign this document or you go to jail. Is this any way to treat a 12-year-old child? Even if he had perhaps gone off the track and let's do some intervention here. But he did nothing wrong. And a week later, this police officer shows up at my house, questions my 10-year-old son. Completely illegal to do so. My 10-year-old son comes in the house and he says, Dad, there's a police officer outside. He says he's coming in the house. I said, son, please don't joke like that. I've just dealt with your older brother. Please don't do this. But in fact, the officer was outside. And he attempted to force his way into my home. But I knew what to do because I am an advocate that knows the law, knows my rights. I slammed that door in his face and I called the police on him. We ended up brokering a conversation. He came there to intimidate me. We ended up in court where the typical thing that happens is the male is charged, and let's remember, this is a 12-year-old child. What they want you to do is to admit some level of guilt, go into a program, and you're free to go. But what they don't tell you is that it remains on your record forever. And so I went to court with my son. I spoke with the Crown Attorney. I said, I respectfully request that you withdraw this charge. There's zero possibility of conviction. This is over the top. It's abusive. And she says, nope, he's been charged. We're moving ahead. Have you spoken to the duty council? I said, I have not and I will not. because they typically persuade you to go into a plea bargain, which again, you're admitting to some level of guilt. So we went before the judge. Immediately the Crown made me look bad that the father, Mr. Vinczer, is not being cooperative. We could have come up with some type of a resolution, a solution to this problem. And I said, look, Your Honor, I will speak with my son. We'll stand the matter down. And I'll see if he wishes to talk to duty counsel and a Crown attorney. Now, I will admit here today that this entire matter was tape recorded. I listened to the tape later, and I was dumbfounded that duty counsel, a lawyer paid for by our tax dollars, did not protect my child's rights. In fact, she allowed him to incriminate himself. Had the matter gone to trial, he would have used that information against him to convict him. But I made it very clear that we were going to go to trial. I will subpoena all the 10, 11, 12-year-old boys as witness or children as witnesses, and I will go fully public. They spoke with my son, Crown and duty counsel. They would not allow me to be in that meeting. Only the tapes revealed how grossly they abused the protective measure that they should have granted my child. But they decided it's better that we not deal with this man. And I was called in, and they said, after speaking with your son, he seems like a good boy. He shouldn't be here. The same Crown attorney that refused to withdraw the charge earlier said, I am withdrawing the charge unconditionally. We went before the judge. The judge remarked, I can only wish that we had more parents as connected with their children as you are. My son was elated beyond explanation, the weight that was lifted off his shoulders, knowing that he is free after the judge says, you are free to go, sir. And so I am more motivated now than ever before because I've had a taste of this insanity personally against me and recently against my 12-year-old son. And I cannot ignore this, knowing that I may get a call 2-3 years down the road. Dad, listen, I'm in trouble. I've been arrested. I'm in jail. I've been charged with raping my girlfriend. This is the insanity that we're living in. And this is why I made a point of bringing professionals here today and tomorrow to talk about these matters. We have Aaron Pitsey, just arrived. Hello, Aaron. Hello. I'm so happy to see you. I hope you've rested well enough. So, this is what we are dealing with. We have a serious social problem on our hands. And while I have been attacked, this event has been undermined. I have been made to appear to be a misogynist, a women hater, violent, abusive. I'm just associated with the wrong crowd. I mean, look at me. I love my children unconditionally. Even my ex-wife, who has caused a lot of harm, I still insist that my boys respect her, because without her, they wouldn't be here. And I hope that we can find ways of building bridges. And I'm very sorry that Loris Harenda, the executive director of Yellow Brick House, cannot be here today. I want to build bridges. I want to find a way to mitigate this horrific social condition that we're living in. They're going after young boys, being arrested. I have the principal who I have no idea where she picked this out of her head from, claiming that my son is violent. So he's already been marked by this educator, a professional. And in fact, I caught her fabricating her reports, her notes. I'm not sure what exact violation that is, but I think it's pretty serious. I gave her an opportunity to make it right. She wouldn't. I sued. They hired the best lawyer in Canada to represent the school board and the principals. But this sort of thing needs to end. We need to educate. A question that I'm asked is, what are you doing to help men and boys? I'm here to enlighten the public. I'm here to get through to our educators that we need to make some serious changes because we are heading down a path of destruction. And that's how serious it is. So at this point, we are going to take a break. And if we could have a time to interview, perhaps our guest speakers would be a good opportunity now. And we will continue at 1 o'clock. Thank you.